Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of I Never Knew But My Dog Did podcast. I am Maureen Scanlon. I am a master self worth coach, and I help you recognize and elevate your self confidence for your desired life. My goal of this podcast is always to bring you fantastic guests who may or not be experiencing something or have experienced something and overcome something that maybe you're going through in your life. This life that we're in is all about connection and about helping one another. And if we can lift each other up and we can help each other, then my job has been fulfilled. So, sorry, I got a frog in my throat. Today, I know this isn't going to come out for a couple of months, but today being the second day of the year 2025, I'm so excited and I cannot wait for you to meet my next guest. She's absolutely fantastic. I could sit and talk to her forever. We just had a lovely conversation offline and we're very connected in our passion and some of our experiences and what we want to do to help others. So, my guest, Chloe Jimenez Peters, is a transformational hypnotherapist and trauma informed coach. She works with women worldwide to rapidly identify and transform the subconscious blueprint of PMDD and perimenopause symptoms so you can expand into your full potential, thrive with purpose, and have the fulfilling, harmonious relationships you deserve. As a narcissistic abuse specialist, Chloe also supports women in transforming the effects of toxic relationships, navigate the disentanglement. I absolutely love that word, and set them up for success. With a medical background and a deep understanding of the subconscious mind, Chloe helps clients uncover and heal root cause traumas, freeing them from the painful manifestations and setting them up with the subconscious success blueprint for creating the abundant life of inner peace and purpose that is your birthright. Ah, I hear the angels singing. I got goosebumps because you're magical. So today I want to welcome, hi, my new love, Chloe. How are you, love?
Hi, Maureen. Thank you so much for that intro. It's really cool to join you today. Thank you.
Oh, I have so much stuff I want to pick your brain on. And what drove me to you or attracted me to you, because I do get a lot of requests from coaches and people that do a lot of healing and trauma healing, etc., which is fantastic that I'm thrilled that I have so many rather than not enough. But what really stuck out for me was the blueprint idea as well as the PMDD and perimenopause, because I don't think we talk about this enough. And man, I'm not going to exclude you today because I think you really need to understand. I know my husband works very hard to understand what I am going through health wise. Now, I am in full menopause. I am nifty 50, nifty over 50, and have been in menopause for about 4 years. And man, I discover new things every single month. Like all of a sudden, I'll get a hot flush and then I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm nauseous. This just happened last night. My body's doing weird things. And so, this is really cool that you have a medical background as well as helping us with the mental and emotional aspects of the PMDD and the perimenopause. So, I want to know how you ended up getting all of this knowledge and why this is your passion. So, what we do here on Inc. is we have an e story, and everyone has moments or a moment where, and we talked about offline how I talked about how the dogs were my epiphany moment for realizing I needed to love myself unconditionally. And so, for you, I would love to know, what was your knee story moment where you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is where my life is. I can't believe this has happened. This is not how I pictured things. And I can't do this anymore. I can't go on like this. So, can you share that with us?
I absolutely can. And before I share my epiphany moment, I will share that I was diagnosed in my teens with chronic fatigue at 14, and then at 17 with clinical depression. And what I now believe was what we call premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD, which is a cluster of symptoms that will appear in the last 2 weeks of your cycle. And I used to have a week or 2 weeks off school as a teenager because it would just floor me. So then, I went on to get curious, going to medical school and then dental school, did all these years of university. And it wasn't until I found myself heartbroken because the father of my 3 children left, abandoned ship, ran off with a 23-year-old girl from work, and never to be seen again. And there I was sitting on my green velvet sofa, pregnant, watching my 2 baby boys, 2 and 1, play. And I just was having these thoughts, what will become of my life? When you're abandoned like that, your future's just robbed of you, isn't it? It's just like, just, and I wasn't sleeping and I was in such a horrendous state, couldn't eat. And I had these thoughts go through my mind that were of this nature. Who's going to want me with 3 babies? And as that thought went through my mind, I thought, don't you dare. It triggered my inner child because I realized as a child, I felt like a burden to my young mom's happiness. It must have been something I heard, who's going to want me with 2 girls? And it was in that moment where I just saw this crossroads and I realized I had a choice. I could continue to think that way and believe, that we were, a burden to take on. It's so weird to think now that I was looking for happiness in a relationship because I'm such a different person now. And then I could see the effects that carrying on that journey would have on my children's belief system. And I could see this other road that I could take. And that would be, you could just decide that you're a great package and that the universe has amazing things for you. And I just thought, I could just see the knock-on effects, the ripple effect it was going to have on my children's well-being, and how they were going to think about themselves and what they were going to believe about themselves. And so I clearly chose that route and went down a rabbit hole of studying the subconscious mind and studying the laws of the universe and the law of attraction. And it was through that rabbit hole that then I came across rapid transformational therapy, which is the modality I now use. I trained with Marissa Peer, and among other things, I use rapid transformational therapy, which is a type of transformational hypnotherapy, actually. So there we go straight to the root cause of any symptoms. And we identify the beliefs, the blueprint that is responsible for these symptoms, that is activating your nervous system and creating these symptoms. And actually, in that program, when I was studying RTT, there was a graduate in there giving a masterclass about PMDD, about premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And I had never heard of it. And I realized through that training that because at medical school, they don't teach when you go to the doctors with PMDD, they don't know what to do. They put you on birth control, they give you SSRIs, and then they might give you a hysterectomy, which I find absolutely criminal because guess what? Your hormones are your innate wisdom as a woman that cyclically will show you the pain of your past that needs transforming.
Say that one more time. Your hormones are your wisdom as a
Your
woman?
Yeah. So this is the thing. In this patriarchal society, we are programmed as women to hate on our hormones, right? But when this hormone shift occurs mid-cycle and you go into the luteal phase, you go into this introspective mode, this self-assessment mode, and you become very close and personal to those trauma imprints. And then, of course, your nervous system is activated. So you're experiencing, if there is stuff there that still needs healing, you're experiencing fight or flight symptoms like anger, rage, anxiety. And when you reach the threshold, of fight or flight, you move into freeze response because your nervous system is working for you according to the perception you have, and the perception is created by your beliefs. And so then there's depression, dissociation in freeze response. And so, you know, the cluster of symptoms is really a collection of fight or flight or freeze response symptoms that are activated because your nervous system believes you're not safe, and you need that biology of courage or survival mode to get through whatever you're going through. But it really is, this is your innate wisdom as a woman that cyclically comes to show you what you need to transform in order to expand into your potential, in order to expand and actually manifest and have the life that your soul desires. And that's how having worked with hundreds of women now, that's how I see it. It just becomes so clear, because when you transform those core beliefs, the side effects of this treatment, the side effects of transforming those core beliefs from the negative to the positive, it's your relationships are transformed. Women are getting pay rises, they're realizing their soul purpose and moving into the purpose work. So it's, it just transforming the root cause of any symptom is transforming the whole way you are. It's the blueprint from which you are manifesting your entire life.
Oh my gosh, all of that. I cannot agree more. And the interesting thing is a lot of us will say about our physical bodies, well, if I didn't have this ailment, then I would be much happier. Or if I could heal this thing, then life could change for me. I have chronic inflammatory disease. It's never going to go away. What I have to do is learn how to be happy with it. And that sounds so contradictory and silly to people who are like, I'm not going to be happy with PMDD, Maureen. What are you talking about? I'm miserable for 2 weeks of the month. And I agree with you. This is so great that you said this. Whether we were taught or whether we've just developed this sort of hatred for our bodies, like when we have periods, it's like, oh God, we have our menstrual cycle, I have cramps and it's a pain in the butt. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm tired. Then you move on. When you're pregnant, my gosh, your body is creating this miracle, and we're still like, oh, this is so hard to be pregnant. And then when you go past that, now that I've lived, through all the cycles, and then as you get older, your body is changing. You're not able to lose weight as quickly. And then when you go into menopause, I can say I personally have been like, oh, I'm really disgusted with menopause. I'm so sick and tired of having hot flashes in the middle of, doing something. I mean, it's exhausting. You can't sleep, you can't lose weight, you're gaining this visceral fat that you can't exercise away. I thank you so much for that. Hormones are your wisdom as a woman, and we go through so much more than men have any idea we're going through. And if we have a partner, that law of attraction, I'm with you, a partner who can understand you and is willing to caretake. I think that's very rare. That's what we have to find when you have been in toxic relationships, such as Chloe and I. It was really, we're givers, so we tended to be with takers. So it's very difficult to make that bridge to finding a giver. And when you do, you're still sort of, I don't know. You're giving, but am I going to owe you? Or I know I'm going sidebar, but it's just interesting how much we feel we have to take care of us, and we never allow others to take care of us. And I think it's just magical, the hormone discussion. We don't have it enough. There's not enough education. And I think, Chloe, you need to do a TED Talk on hormones. And with your background, my gosh, medical and dental. I mean, you're like the whole gamut of everything, that involves us. But I'm with you, mind, body, and soul. And we always forget there's a connection. You have to have, everything has to be, there's spokes on a wheel, the mind, the body, and the soul, and emotional healing and energy all have to be working together. You cannot separate one from the other. So tell us about what does it look like when you do this RTT therapy? How does this start and how do we get to the root or the blueprint of who we are?
Yeah, so when I'm working with premenstrual dysphoric disorder, for example, or somebody comes to me with perimenopause symptoms, because often women say to me, I don't know if this is perimenopause symptoms or whether this is PMDD. And my answer is, it really doesn't matter, right? These are messages. They're trying to get your attention and they want looking at, right? So we've got to go to the subconscious root cause. The subconscious is running the show, it's running your physiology, and it will continue to get louder and louder, the symptoms will, until you actually look at it, or you can numb them with medication, and that's not going to extract your wisdom and help you expand and grow in the way that you are here to do. So with a rapid, so in my 8-week package, Wounds into Wings, that especially for freedom from depression and anxiety and freedom from PMDD symptoms, we do 2 RTT sessions in those 8 weeks. And the reason is, what after the 2-hour RTT session, in which I will induce you into a hypnotic brain state, which is a brain state you are naturally going in and out of every day. People fear hypnosis, but it's a natural brain state that you use every day. And then we use regression. So we go back to the absolute root cause of the symptom we're working on. So I like to start with freeze response symptoms like depression. I want to get you out of that red light first. And so we start with the depression, let's say. And we use regression, and then scenes from your childhood, from your formative years will come up, and there I will extract the beliefs that you made about yourself and about the world that you live in. And you'll have like a whole set of beliefs there from all these scenes. And then we do the inner child work, we do the parts therapy, all in hypnotic brain states. It's so powerful when you do this work in hypnosis. You're getting the answers straight away, and you're doing the root cause resolution in that session. So it's not like, come back next week and we'll talk about it again. No, we're reparenting, we're using a number of reframing tools. And at the end of the 2-hour session, I give you this transformation, which is like a 15-minute hypnosis of me giving you the new opposite empowering beliefs. And you go away with this recording and you will listen to it for 21 days in order to rewire your mind, really cement those new neural pathways in, because the mind learns in 2 ways: repetition and hypnosis. And so that's an RTT package. It's 21 to 30 days per package. And we do 2 in the 8-week program, because I'm also teaching metacognitive psychology to get in control of your thoughts, rules of the mind, polyvagal tools to reshape your nervous system, because that was shaped in childhood too. And just understanding how your organism works, right? Because nobody taught us about our cycles, that we have a spring, summer, autumn, winter of our cycle, and we have different needs in each part of the cycle, and we're not honoring them. And how can we communicate to a partner that we have needs that need honoring? Because we're so much in our masculine giving and doing and mothering. And so it's just learning about our needs as a woman and what we need, and then we can attract somebody who is in their healthy masculine, and we can then receive in a beautiful feminine way. And it's balancing that feminine and masculine energy. But we've got to get to the subconscious root cause of the symptoms and transform them, and then you're free of the symptoms, and you've got a blueprint that is going to set you up for success.
Oh, that is amazing. And I jotted down some stuff that I completely agree with. In fact, I'm like, I need to contact Chloe. I need to do this because I do find, even as a life coach, and I've done so much work and I understand psychology and I have all these certifications, but yet I'm like listening to you going, yeah, the nervous system was created. Our reaction, how our nervous system reacts was created when we were growing up in childhood. And if you look back at your childhood, whether it was functional or dysfunctional, which most of us look, let's be real, everybody had some form of dysfunction because there's no dress rehearsal when you're raising children. And I know I made mistakes, and our parents made mistakes, and their parents made mistakes. But depending on the level of dysfunction and trauma in your family, it does curve you and mold you into the things that you're going to do as an adult. And so my husband we had a conversation, and let me be clear, my upbringing was not extremely traumatic or anything, but I notice now that I lower the how do I say this? Whatever, however bad it was, I made it less bad. I always
Mm.
convinced myself it wasn't that bad. And I believe that's what I carried into adulthood when I was in these relationships. I made a lot of excuses for a lot of people. And when I think back, I remember you had said something that I absolutely love. What had gone on when your husband had left your partner, the father of your three children? I was in the same situation, being a single parent of three children as well. And I had the opposite. I had other people saying to me, no one's going to want you with three kids. And here I
Wow.
had to, and that was my parents saying, no one's going to want you. And reinserting this mistrust in myself and my own judgment. And I find myself still doing this, trying to prove something to people. And I have to stop doing that. And that's kind of that fight response where it's like, I have to prove to you that I'm right. And you made me recall that I'd be like, someone will want me. Watch this. Someone's going to want me. I had to always kind of fight for who I was. And that building of self-worth in my coaching as well is no one tells us that we're amazing. No one tells us that it's okay to have those PMDD symptoms or to have moments of depression or to have moments of anxiety. No one says it's okay. It's like this stigma now, that we're trying to undo in the mental health world, that it's okay not to be okay. And we didn't have that growing up. At least I didn't. The reparenting part of this and the hypnosis. Tell me, how closely related is a meditation state to a hypnosis state?
I mean, they're very similar. I mean, I pretty much say that they're the same. We're using alpha and theta brain state. You see, children are in theta brain state. They don't have a conscious critical mind formed yet. And so we absorbed everything in a hypnotic brain state. So it's beautiful that we get to choose to then transform those beliefs in the hypnotic brain state, just the way we acquired them. Because actually, those unconscious beliefs, most of them are misperceptions of a child who didn't have a critical factor to go, do you know what? This is not about me. Dad's an alcoholic. Mum's really stressed and depressed. They can't believe that their parents wouldn't be enough to keep them alive. We depend on them as children. We're dependent, we're helpless, and we depend on these people. And when we're not understood, when our needs are not met, when we feel unlovable, we form these beliefs. There's something innately wrong with me. I'm bad. And it's all unconscious stuff. So then it's really when somebody says to you, you've got a chemical imbalance, take this pill for the rest of your life, you're just faulty, then it kind of resonates because the very beliefs that are creating your perception and creating the freeze response and creating the symptoms are, I'm bad, there's something wrong with me. And so when a doctor then says, oh, you're faulty, take a pill, it resonates. There's something there that makes you think, oh, yeah, that feels right. But you're not. You did not come into this world falsely. I believe most diseases, like 98% of diseases, I really believe are stress-related diseases. And when I say stress-related, I mean we are in fight or flight and freeze response for long periods of time. We've normalized it as a society, and this is so damaging to your physiology, to your organs, because what we're doing is when we're in fight or flight, we are creating the biology of courage. And what does this mean? We're starving vital organs, vital systems of nutrients and oxygen because We are prioritizing the muscles for running away from danger and any other thing you would need in that moment of running for your life from a lion. It's a great response, but we're not supposed to spend prolonged times in it because we're thinking about stuff at work or feeling sad about stuff in our relationship. So you have all the power in you to heal and to transform and free yourself. I really see these symptoms as gifts now. It's like, we in the program we transform everything, anything that's come up, any symptoms, and then maybe in a year or 2 years down the line, maybe you're going to experience another symptom because it's your next level of expansion. We're here to continually expand in consciousness. So then we're ready for maybe another round, another session of RTT to see what that's about. Let's get curious. What is this trigger? Why do I feel like that? Every time I make a complaint at school, my children's school, why do I feel my body's like feeling bad, like there's something wrong? Well, let's look at it. You don't need to, your birthright, your natural state is joy. And if you're not in that state, there's stuff there that we need to look at and transform and move you out of.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I can't, I don't even have enough room on my paper to write down everything that I'm, these little nuggets that I'm getting from you. I love that you said that these symptoms are gifts because like everything, we have signs. We're given these signs. I believe just like you do, I believe we are given these signs from the universe to say, this is where your next step of evolution is going to take place. And I always say to everybody, when you become grateful for whatever has happened to you, negative or otherwise, when you reach that state of gratitude, then that's when you're able to be open-minded enough to the things that come at you and you live, as we always say, life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. So when you do see those symptoms as gifts, I've never looked at it that way. It's like, okay, great. What now? I have this thing. Now, oh gosh, now I feel this thing. And that's a really good reframing. That's a great way. And of course, I kind of was around people that are always like, it comes in threes, it's bad. It's going to be bad. There's two things bad have happened, and there's another one coming or waiting for the shoe to drop. I love that. I can reframe that now and say, no, this is my next chance for evolution. And I agree with you because like in coaching, I have so many awesome clients that do this maintenance coaching because yeah, there's different stages of your life and we work through this and we give you the foundations of coping mechanisms and acceptance and self-love. But then the next stage of growth comes and you're like, I kind of lost all that stuff because how does it pertain to this situation? So I love that. And my favorite thing you said, my absolute favorite thing, your birthright is joy. And that's maybe what changed, I think, the trajectory of my life when I started saying, no one's allowed to steal my joy. And that was like I put my foot down in the moments where, and I didn't necessarily, sometimes it's better to say things before you believe them and then you end up believing them. I think that's kind of that convincing thing.
Totally.
But I love that you said all of it, the medication thing, and being that I was in the medical field, I was in nursing and then in finance. It's really about throwing things at the problem, but it's not a solution. It's a cover up. And I totally agree with you that having those medications, because all they're doing is treating a short-term thing. They're not going like you are back to this long-term thing because eventually that medication is not going to work and you're going to have to find another medication and so on and so forth. There are ailments that new studies have shown, as you know, with all of your medical background, that we cognitively can change our health. And one of those is IBS. They do say that that's something, IBS is not a diagnosis, it's a symptom, right? And
Yeah.
you can change that. And I'm proof of that because I did that. But I think your solutions and your methods are far more long-term and healing than the temporary things that we're told to do. And now we are, thank goodness, exploring meditation. We're exploring acupuncture and more Eastern medicine, which I'm all about, those homeopathic remedies. What do you think about homeopathic remedies in addition to what you're doing as well? Is that a good thing to go hand in hand?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that we've got to explore any holistic and, you know, the ancient wisdom has really, they've really tried to bury it, the Western medicine. I think women knew about their cycles in the tribes. I think that they understood about everything I'm saying, you know, about extracting the wisdom cyclically and understanding their needs and honoring their needs. I'm not against medication because I understand that in a moment of crisis, an antidepressant will help you move through the crisis while you're doing the work. But, you know, a lot of women come to me and say, oh, I need to get off these antidepressants. I have no sex drive. I feel numbed out. And, you know, ultimately, each of these prescriptions that you're putting in your body is going to interact with another physiological pathway. It's going to require you to take another pill somewhere down the line. And, you know, you're going to get to a certain age where you're taking like 8 to 15 different medications because each one is causing another problem for you. So yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the medicine of frequency, which this is really coming to the forefront now. Like Einstein said, the future will be the future of frequencies. And there's a lot of different modalities out there. My daughter just did one today, actually. My 7-year-old daughter, she's had a chronic backache and I can't remember the name of it, but the practitioner just recorded her voice, and through the vibration of her voice was able to see, yes, this is not an emotional pain, this is bone, muscle, and it's come from a trauma. And it's like incredible, the wisdom, the information that you can get. So yeah, I absolutely. But what I love about this, the transformational hypnotherapy, is that you get to make the unconscious information conscious. You get to go back in time, transform whatever happened to you or whatever didn't happen to you that should have happened to you, like your needs being met, basic needs being met. You're able to go back in time and change the meaning you made with your child's mind. Whether that be I'm not enough, I don't matter, what I want doesn't matter, my feelings don't matter, all of these beliefs that we're walking around with, like basically sleepwalking with these lies that are the beliefs that are creating our blueprint. And it's crazy. We're upgrading the software on our phones, on our computers, but how often are we upgrading the software in ourselves? And we're running from this software 95% of the day. You are running from your subconscious software, and 95% of that software you acquired before you were 7 years old. You know, you were a helpless dependent child. You made conclusions about yourself when perhaps you're, you know, because we're all doing our best. No parent wakes up and says, today I'm going to mess up my kid. Nobody does that, right? We're all doing our best, but we're carrying our stuff. We get into stress states. We're not, you know, we're doing our best now. We're awakening to this conscious parenting, but how we were parented was very different. Nobody apologized to us when they flew off the handle. Nobody did. You know, we were the product of stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about, right? So a child in that situation goes, oh God, you know, there's something wrong with me. I can't stop crying, or, you know, I don't matter, my feelings don't matter. And, you know, like it's just not safe for us then to express our needs and feel safe around the people we have relationships with in our adult life, because it wasn't safe then to express your needs.
Yes.
So I don't really like this big T, small t trauma definition, because what is genetic in us is our sensitivity. And we're all, you know, and most people I work with are highly sensitive people. And because we're highly sensitive people, and 1 in 4, this is the work of Dr. Elaine Aron, she's incredible. There's been over 100 species tested this. They know that over 100 species, even fruit flies, 1 in 4 of them are highly sensitive fruit flies. And what it means is we process things deeply. We are deep thinkers. And if you are a highly sensitive person, which I believe 1 in 4 of us is, then as a child, you're more likely to form trauma imprints that will then lead to depression and all sorts of other issues. So I like to categorize trauma in as, you know, one type of trauma is the things that happen to you that should never have happened to you. And the other type of trauma, the things that didn't happen to you that should have happened to you, like you having a safe environment, like you being understood, like your needs being met, like you being attuned to. And I would say that, you know, it's part of the human existence, the human phenomenon that most of us have experienced the latter.
Wow, that is so I'm that is amazing. I love that. Things that happened to you that shouldn't have, and things that should have happened to you and didn't. And yeah, that's pretty simple. It's like I always talk about two things, fear and love. Everything that we do behavior wise is out of fear or love. And the human nature is to survive. And so if you suppress it, it's going to come out in your body. The cortisol hormones is your wisdom. And whether you're female or not, we all have the cortisol hormone. So, you know, you have people that are suppressors. You have people that are angry. They take it out on others. You have other people that, um, you know, through not dealing with those subconscious things that have happened, they're people pleasers. Or, I mean, think of, and I'm going to say this, listeners, think of, let's say, five people in your world around you and think of how they cope with things. You know, do you have
Mm.
people that cut people down and make them feel less than because they need to feel better about themselves? Those are insecurities because when they were a child, they didn't feel secure. Or you've got the people who are just the people pleasers and want to make sure everybody is good and they put their needs aside and they never talk about how they feel or what they need. Well, there's your codependents. Those are the people who were told to be seen and not heard. And so this is all such human nature driven that we as humans, God bless us, we're complicated, but we're not. We're pretty simple
Yeah,
because when it
very
comes down,
simple.
right?
Totally, yes, very simple, really. If you just understand what, you know, your own organism and what our needs are as humans, we have tribal minds. We are wired to connect. And you know, if you're believing that you're bad, that you're not enough, then you're living with this fear of being rejected by your tribe, and that's activating your nervous system. You're going to go into freeze response because it's the ultimate survival, is like, I've got to shut down because I can't survive on my own, because humans can't in their formative years survive on their own. We depend on the adult caregiver to keep us alive. It is simple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, the fight, flight, fawn, and freeze just comes down to survival. How do I survive? We all do it differently. I mean, like you said, 1 in 4 HSPs. I mean, I'm very familiar with that. I even had a guest gentleman who wrote a book about HSP men, because men were again told be tough, don't show emotion, don't be weak, don't you know, they were not told to embrace their feminine side. They were told you must always be masculine. And having a son myself and having his father, who was a very um, caveman-like, I'm just gonna say that my son was never told by his father, his male father figure, to, you know, it's okay to show emotion. Thank God he had me to balance that out. But that's, yeah, I completely agree. And maybe we are all such as just like autism, there's a spectrum. Maybe there's a spectrum of HSP as well, right? I mean, some are very, very highly sensitive. We take things very seriously and it affects how we make decisions. And we have to rein back a little bit on that. Or maybe there's some that just have a touch of it and maybe need to get a little more empathy. So it's all about balance. And I think that's what your passion and what your purpose and your practice that you're doing is such a beautiful thing, because all we ever want in this life is to find balance. When you have balance, it seems that everything works together. It coexists well when it's in balance, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And in order to have that balance, you've got to understand yourself and how you function. And it's crazy that I went through 11 years of university and never learned really. PMDD was never mentioned, never learned about the female cycle. I mean, yeah, the basic biology of it, but not actually the emotional side of things and how our needs are met. I mean, this stuff should be taught in schools. Even the nervous system work should be taught in schools, because guess what we do as humans, because we've got this neocortex, we feel fear, we feel the fight or flight response coming on. We start to judge the response, and we, because we don't understand it, we then fear it even more, and we then drive ourselves into a panic attack because we don't understand it. But if you were just to understand, oh, look, isn't this interesting? My body is activated. I'm in fight or flight. Because I'm feeling that I'm being judged. And then, you do that work in the moment. I'm believing that's that childhood wound. I'm believing that I'm not lovable, that I'm not likable. And here I am in this work situation. I'm feeling that I could be rejected. I validate me, nobody else. I'm indifferent to the opinions of others. And even if they didn't like me, I'm okay because I validate me. I'm not a dependent child. I'm a powerful, autonomous woman. And just reframing it in every moment and breathing through it, the long exhales to communicate to your nervous system that you are safe, and then you're okay. I mean, if you just had that simple information, you could move through it. You wouldn't need to be popping pills because you've now gone into an out of control, panic. um, Really simple, basic stuff. Actually, we are simple, and we all at the core have those same imprints that, I'm not enough, I'm different, I can't connect, it's not available to me, being cared for is not available to me, financial success is not available to me, because you're making beliefs, adapting to your environment all the time in order to survive. So you can absolutely
That's
change.
Yes. Yes, that's really good. You're making beliefs based on your environment rather than just staying grounded in the beliefs that you have, and the environment can adapt to you. And change begins with choice. And that was the one thing I didn't have, and that was when I adapted my beliefs to what was happening to me, because
Yeah.
again, not believing that I had that choice, because growing up I didn't feel I had any choices. So, oh
That
my,
that's really important, Maureen, what you just said about choice. I think the biggest realization from doing this subconscious work is, oh, I have choice now, because we have locked ourselves into with these childhood beliefs in a world where we didn't have any choice. And so we continue to do that because this is unconscious programming. And then it's like a radical awakening doing this work, going, oh, I have choice now. It's so simple to say it, but it's so true. It's the choice that is I can choose my beliefs, I can choose who to be with, and I can choose to get curious with what's coming up with me. Like you're talking about the toxic relationships. Well, after that heartbreak, when my baby that I was pregnant with was born, I then went into a toxic relationship of 5 years. Um, and I actually think, going back to the HSP, I actually think that a lot of these men that have these personality disorders, like narcissistic personality disorder, I think they were HS. They were highly sensitive people whose needs were just not met. They weren't understood, and this persona they've created that then shows itself in the personality disorders, and then ends up in these toxic situations. So I had that 5 year relationship then with this person, trying to make this work, because there was, you could see the goodness in him, but then he couldn't regulate his emotions. He was like stunted in, you see this big beautiful man, but then his emotions were like that of a child. He wasn't, the behavior wasn't that of a man. And I would just make excuses, like you were saying about your pet, what you would do, try to see things through rose tinted glasses. Oh well, he'll learn, he'll learn. But actually, some people don't learn and they keep doing the same thing to you over and over again. And you have to get to a point where you go, okay, what is my part here? How am I facilitating this toxic situation? Because, you know, you're being toxic too. If you're in a toxic relationship, there might be a perpetrator, but if you're in it and you're facilitating it, you're also being toxic. So you've got to look at, what is it in me that is allowing this?
That's
And
it.
healing.
Yes, that's it. That is absolutely it. You have to take accountability no matter what abusive situation or toxic relationship you're in. The accountability part is I can stop this. I'm allowed to say this is not okay. And all of these examples, you think of like the narcissistic, the NPD people, that's an extreme reaction to needs not being met. And they've gone so far as to lose their empathy and to say, I don't care about anybody else. The only way to survive is to think of me. I mean, think of
Mm,
that's an extreme measure. So you
yeah,
think about all these different personalities on the planet, they're all reactions at different levels of spectrum, I would say, of how we coped with trying to survive. And I
yeah,
love that. I love that. Gosh, you have just got my brain just, oh my gosh, going crazy. Um, I love it. And I think everything you're saying can it narrows down to everything that you said about how our mind can control our beliefs, our behaviors, our movements, our choices, our reactions. Um, it really is. When we say it's simple, you and I are life coaches. So we're like, it's simple, just change your mind. No, it's the hardest thing to undo. And when I was healing, and I know you too, getting out of your toxic relationships, the hardest thing was believing what I was saying. But it was effective because no matter how much I didn't believe it, it just started. It's planting a seed. So I planted the seed. I may
mm,
not have grown the bush immediately or the tree immediately, but at least I was watering it. I was fertilizing it until I did believe it.
yeah,
And the one word I love the most is empowerment. When you feel empowered, listeners, and that just means making a choice and feeling that you have control. And I think control is a big thing that matters. When we feel out of control, that's when we get ill. I think that's when we allow others to do things that are not welcomed or not right. So empowerment to me means I have the power to change the things that don't work for me. So, whatever in my life, my environment, my thoughts, my health, my everything, my relationships, I have the power to keep it or dispose of it. That's the hardest thing to remember when you've been in a toxic relationship where you've had trauma is to say, I'm allowed, I have power to choose, I have power to decide that's not okay. Because my whole dysfunctional mind used to say, these are the cards I was dealt. I went to a counselor and he said, Maureen, you talk like you're 80 years old and your life is over. I was so resigned to not being empowered. I was resigned to the fact that I didn't have a choice in this life, that everything that happens, everyone around me is going to decide for me how I'm going to live this life. And at that point, I was only in my 40s, but
mm,
I thought I don't have a choice in this. And when I did finally say I have a choice in this, wow, life changed. Everything
yeah,
changed. My career, my relationship, my parenting, everything, the way I saw the world, how, and I'm gonna throw this one out there because I believe every person who has healed and figured out their blueprint from my lovely Chloe, I think everyone who's been through that journey ends up being the most compassionate, accepting, and loving person. And there is a division you can see. You are either there or you are not. There's no gray area. So if you haven't reached that point of, I think, of enlightenment, empowerment, or whatever, you're going to get there at some point before you pass, before you transition. I think you have to get to that. And then the people who have, every guest ever on my podcast has been there, are the most kind and loving and giving people, because we want to pay this forward. We want everyone to feel this empowerment and this compassion and this love that we feel to help others. And I think that's the beauty of being a human. So that's
Totally.
I want to leave my piece there, but what I want to know is, where can we find you? Where can our listeners get into this RTT therapy with you and go through your program and figure out their blueprints? Because I just think, oh my gosh, you're absolutely fantastic. The encompassing of everything that you do, I think, is it really is, like, to me, it's the answer to everything that we could do to get to our best place. And then you can also come life coaching with Maureen too, after you do your whole discover who you are blueprint. Come with me and we'll make sure that we continue to build your self-esteem and self-confidence even more. So tell us where to
Yeah.
find you, what kind of programs you have, anything that we can do to find out all about Chloe.
Well, thank you. So you can find, I like Instagram. That's my preferred social media platform. And I'm on Facebook. So Chloe Jimenez Peters on Instagram and on Facebook. And then please go to my website, because that's really comprehensive in that it will tell you about your cycle and how the hormones are working and what happens for you. So just that PMS page, the PMDD and the PMS page on my website, woundsintowings.com. You just go in there and you'll be able to see all the ways to work with me. Now, if you're ready to free yourself from depression in a matter of days and weeks, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder symptoms, or perimenopause symptoms, we do, therapy doesn't have to take years and years. When you get to the subconscious root and you extract the malignant beliefs and then you rewire your mind with the new opposite empowering beliefs, it's like a radical awakening. So if you're ready, you can jump in straight away to my 8-week program, Wounds into Wings. And if you would like to ask me some questions, go ahead and book a 15-minute discovery call with me. You can book that on my website, and we'll have a chat and start mapping out your healing journey.
I love that. I will have all of that on your episode page. I'll make sure everybody can click right into that. I adore you, and I knew I would get so much out of it. You're going to have me thinking for the rest of the entire day, because I don't know, maybe my mind just works that way. I am neurodivergent, so I really love a simple, like everything in a nutshell, like an atom, just wrap it all up in there. I'm very visual, so I love the visual that I have here, where it's just everything's connected. Let's just get to the blueprint, the reason why, and then extract. That's my favorite thing that you said, the extract the malignant beliefs, and then we're gonna reinsert these positive, different beliefs about ourselves that are healthier for us to live that life that we deserve, because your birthright is joy, as Chloe said. I adore you. And since everything is so heavy, which this wasn't that heavy, this was really fun, but it was very stimulating intellectually. But we're going to do something fun. And I always end it with a little fun segment. So we can really get to know a little bit more about Chloe. So, Chloe, because we just passed the holiday season, I want to know, this is we're gonna go with a segment called Because I Need It. And this segment is, I want to know, what is the weirdest thing you've ever received or purchased?
Wow. Well, you could have given me some time
I
to
know.
prepare for this. Weirdest thing
I do
I've
this
ever
all the time.
received
I'm terrible about putting people on the spot. I
or purchased.
I'm going to show you something while you think. Okay, so my husband got this in his stocking this year, and I stole it. It is called uh Zen kitty garden or something like this. So if you can see, there's two little kitty cats,
Oh,
and
that's hilarious.
it's got little stones in it that are like poop. It's like a little litter box, so it's a Zen litter
Yeah,
box, and then it's got this little rake, and you can rake up the poopy, and it's very. I'm a fidgeter, so this is really magical for me. If you
that's so
guys
cute. But you're a dog person. You're a dog person, Maureen, and you've got cats. How does that work?
I know. I have a kitty cat. I have a kitty cat
You
named
do.
Grayson. He's a Bengal kitty. You know what? I do not exclude anybody, either human or animal wise, because you know what? Everyone deserves equality and love, and so I will
Right.
not exclude any of my furry people, including my little kitty cats. But I mean, how fun is that? So that's
That's
something that's
really
very
cute.
unusual. What you got? Did you get anything this year that you thought, I would never have bought that for myself?
You know what? Do you know what? Nothing is coming to mind. Do you know when I was a child, my godmother's husband got me some chocolate boobs, which was quite weird. So that's quite, I mean, chocolate boobs. We found it hilarious. And loo roll with toilet roll with rude jokes on it. I mean, that's quite obscure. But we were
Okay.
like seven. We were seven, me and my sister.
Okay, that's it. That's perfect. See, you had something. We just had to pull it out of your subconscious. Oh my gosh, that is perfect. Like, how weird is that? Boob
Weird for
chocolate
a
for a
child.
7 year old. Okay, I'm not going to say anything about your godmother's husband, but I'm just saying someone might want to take a look at him and maybe some of his
They're not
behavior.
together anymore.
Thank God, because there's something a little suspicious about that. But all right, I love you for humoring me. Thank you so much. I told you I don't give anybody any warning. We don't do pre-podcast meetings or anything. It's literally off the cuff here because hey, if I would have met you on the street or met you at Starbucks, then this is how it would be. I would put you totally on the spot. So that's what makes us real in this world. But honey,
I love that, Maureen. Thank you.
thank you so much for being here, listeners. I hope you enjoyed Chloe and all of the information she had, especially my PMDD ladies and perimenopause, because you got a lot of things that are going to start happening, and we don't want you to hate your bodies. It's telling you something, and she can absolutely help you with this. And I think it's beautiful that that's a focus that she does because no one speaks on it. And isn't that the reason why our ikigai is to find a problem that nobody else has addressed? And her ikigai is fantastic, that this is her passion and purpose. So I love you all, and you all know what my passion and purpose is, and that is to do dating coaching, relationship coaching, and confidence coaching with all of you, even business coaching. I help you small business entrepreneurs start a business. So don't forget to contact me, or you can even leave comments or suggestions for shows for episode topics, as well as reaching out for guest requests. So that's at I'm sorry, at lifecoachmaureen.com. Wow, my brain's been on vacation. I forgot my own website. Lifecoachmaureen.com. Do not forget our doggy boutique. Hopefully your doggy got everything they wanted for Christmas. If they did not, please go to mydoggies.everything.net, where we have all kinds of fun products, healthy treats and paw bombs and adorable bandanas and even tutus for your baby. I got some really fancy rhinestone collars now, so you'll see those online. So go ahead and do that. And then again, my books. You all know my books. My dog is more enlightened than I am. My dog is my relationship coach. And my dog Bexley is just like me, my children's book for your children. So we will start our children out healthy so that when they're adults, they will not have to do any therapy to undo what has been done. So we're starting off new and fresh, and we're going to keep that joy. We're going to make sure that their birthright of joy continues into the rest of their life, into adulthood. So I love you all. Until next week, you guys take care. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Most of all, take care of those furry babies, and be sure that you adopt and do not shop. There's a forever baby waiting for a forever home with you. So, and that includes kitties. I love you all. Until next week. Mwah!